Go for it.
Sakura, hey, video 2 in this series of 3. So we're going to talk about obscure kimono, which is our pattern against a right-hand catalyst, which is a grab. We're going to talk about intellectual departure, which is against that kick, and then thrusting palms, which is against that bear hug. This is to reinforce what you saw, the basic snippets of action in video 1. Now we're going to work on the patterns themselves. We are going to ideal phase complete the pattern. Now, the thing about obscure kimono is it's one and. And it could be many more, but basically one and mercy point. In postmodern Kempo, we call it a survey. Okay, well, he needs more because now I know there's a guy over there, and I may need to lock the guy up. I may need to use a moving blockade. If I knock the guy down, I only have that much moving blockade, so I have to move left or right of him. But if I get a hold of him and his feet are out there, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, you want to kick this guy? Yeah, go ahead, kick that guy, not me." Or as in the demonstration. Oh, how does that work, sir? Do it on him. So obscure kimono, we're going to show something for a future video. He's going to do it the way it's written. I'm going to do it the way I like to do it, which is exactly the same thing. Ready? Ready. 3, 2, 1, go. That's it. Now, obscure kimono is going to make sure that it has contact. We go beyond 3 points of contact. We go to a continuity. Is that a good word?
Or cascade.
Or cascade. Cascade's even better. And I'm just going to show you just the leg stuff. Just the leg stuff. So from here, Chris coined the term comma step, which is exactly what this looks like. If you're drawn on the ground, the foot slides back, around, and then it just comes in. And just by settling into them, I've already got that negative body posture. Remember, I have the margin of error in this, but this is the snippet of action that reinforces that. But this time, I'm going to lock my ankle into his. How's your ankle? You good?
I'm good.
Okay. This comes from a system of martial arts that we don't talk about. But you'll know it if you're in that system. So I'm going to comma step, and I'm going to come up right in here. And I'm just going to drop my height. And there is no space between us, except after the hip. If I want to do that, I don't want to do that because my body posture is. But if I move in, there you go. That's obscure kimono. Yes, sir.
That's perfect. And that reinforces the lesson of connecting the ankle to ankle, knee to knee, hip to hip, in a cascade motion from the ground up that manipulates height, width, and depth.
Think of it as blowhole on Oahu. Water comes in, water comes up.
Exactly.
I used to live there.
Next pattern we're going to talk about is intellectual departure. Defense against a right kick, whether thrusting or snapping. The main point, the main lesson is get out of the way. It comes up in sparring. And we're going to use that area of the angle and that what we call pizza slice or an upcock to get out of the way. That's the first lesson within intellectual departure. So as Sigang prepares, and I will kick. Actually, let's switch sides. I'm going to gauge leg to show that if he doesn't move, I'm going to plow him. These patterns and techniques only work against a real attack, not an attempted anything. As I come, he's just going to get off of the line first, and then we will focus on the pattern. Notice I kicked on the same line, and yet he is totally out of my reach. Unless I'm really good at altering my kick mid-kick, he's out of the way. And as he comes back, now he's going to use his margin for error in his right arm to make sure that that leg doesn't contact. Broadening my base, manipulating my height and width at the same time, and now he's going to rotate. He's going to use his perspective, what we call neutral bowl or horse stance, to stop my forward momentum with that elbow. Now he's going to continue to manipulate my height, width, and depth with that palm heel to set my akole out, to drop my height and my depth. Now he has a choice of either using what we now call the back kick, which is a scooping groin kick, or he can what we do, step drag cover to a mule kick. Oh, I'm not going to eat that all day long. and he pushes off of me towards his exit. Intellectual departure introduces margin for error, manipulating height, width, and depth, the pizza slice, and a pressing check. So we've got a lot of different CMP within intellectual departure, borrowing what is old is new again, right? And reformulating it. So we're going to switch spots here for a moment.
One of the things I want to say is, you might have heard us say that using self-defense patterns in sparring is possible. This is your first introduction to what we do when we spar. Okay? We never really talked about this before.
So once again, I'm going to go into what we call a preposition. Preposition 1 is my right foot slightly forward. Preposition 2 is my left foot slightly forward. In this case, I want my right foot slightly forward. My hands are ready. As he comes in, I'm going to pizza box, make sure that's off. Notice that's already adjusted him. I want to actually hit him as he lands, much like we do in deflecting hammer or deflecting doom, depending on how you know it. Push on the hip. And then in this case, I don't have the groin. I'm going to step direct cover and mule him into next week.
It's like I forgot what the pattern was, right? Jeez.
It is what it is. And like Professor Cole said, this helps introduce us to some of our techniques that we use in sparring that trickle up. This one being the first one. The next one being Detour from Doom and Panther.
Deceptive Panther.
Deceptive Panther being two other patterns that come later. And last but not least today, good.
The interesting thing is, when we put this, when he adopted this and made sure that he had the uplock, it originally came from Circling Doom, which, if you've been taught this, you're in the fighting stance already. The first kick comes in, you come to here, you change to the reverse bow, and then you simply come up to a vertical outward block. There is no throwing the motion around here. We're going to ride the motion at the ankle and then immediately do this. Now this gets the guy to go flipping immediately, which is an awful lot like what we do in the extension for Dance of Death. We manipulate that guy's ankle in pretty much the same way.
Yes. Yeah, that's perfect connection there, Professor.
And I used to use that all the time. Bam! And then come with a back nickel.
It's there if you're looking for it. Last technique today is thrusting palms. The catalyst is a front bear hug. Arms are pinned. There are several different CMP that we're going to cover, and some of which are unique to postmodern Kempo and or Christian Kempo. But Sigurd, if we could trade places here.
I have something to say about this afterwards, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's go this way. Yeah, this should be good. As I grab, he's going to go to a bracing angle forward bow. If I step back and put his hands up, the one thing we do with our kids is I can put all 230 pounds on him and he can hold me as though he's holding a wall. Holding a wall up. Our little 5-year-olds can hold me at 230 pounds with this bracing angle forward bow. This can stop their forward momentum. Once again, I grab, he finds that bracing angle forward bow and begins to manipulate my height, width, and depth. Not only did he stop my forward motion, he's preventing it from continuing. This is the pressing. This is manipulating my height and my depth at the same time. Now he's going to hook and to borrow balance. Another major lesson. Now he's going to use a kick in which I kind of brought to the system, which is a side blade kick to widen my base. And now introduces something what we call going to my imaginary third leg. Imagine a line going from my akole behind me is where my body wants to find balance. He's going to push me to that point, and I have no choice but to go there. My base has already been demolished. I have no choice but to go to that imaginary third leg.
Interesting thing about it is once I brace angle and kick out, he's now borrowing balance from me. Otherwise, he would fall down. I'm holding him. So it's fun how it's both sides of the coin. I'm borrowing, and then I'm destroying his base, and then he's borrowing it from me. And the fact that he's borrowing it means that he's on his heels and he's going no matter what. This is not just Christian Kempo or postmodern. It's in everything.
Yeah.
If you've been taught.
Yeah, if you've been taught. This is borrowing from a lot of different sources. But you notice there, the lessons that are within thrusting palms as a yellow belt technique end up trickling up into the rest of the Christian Kempo system, and is also trickle up in postmodern Kempo. So with that, stay tuned for video 3, where
I wanted to say something about this.
Yeah.
I love this pattern because it's very much like the postmodern Kempo thrusting prongs, different area, we're rearranging, whatever. But the important thing to remember is that I have longer legs. So how I do it, once I find my point of bracing angle, I hook and I pull down. I lift, I put my foot down, immediately I come to here, and then I'm going to use that kick the same way I would from that crane stance, from that one-legged stance. But if their left foot is forward, guess what I'm going to do? Ankle!
Mm-hmm.
What happens to their balance? What happens to their body structure, their skeletal structure? They want to fall down. I'm still holding them. Okay, good. Go fall down. I hope you saw me use the elbow to push that time. This is the me thing. This is not the ideal thing. So again, I find a good place to plant that left foot, and wham, I lock it in. I hook. I come up. His left leg is forward. I stomp the inside of the ankle. I come to here. Oh, and this is the one thing we didn't talk about yet. And then I kick out, and then I let him go down that way. And I'm into a whole bunch of new patterns. I've opened the door into a bunch of different patterns. Now what you see me doing, when you get to the last C&P, it's going to tie all that together. Find the balance. Good. Boom. Fight. Boom. Boom. Kick. Stomp that foot. Come to here. This is a rear cat in most systems. We identify it as a rear cat. But you notice that as I transition, the transition presented the weapon. We got the heel off the ground so I can immediately, because I just stomped his foot, he's going to pull it back. So if I stomp and then I go like this, and then I go like this, all that embryonic, that's great, but stomp, pop, kick, and then there. So the stance transition forms the weapon. Anytime you do that, this is a front kick. This is a back kick. Got it?
which we saw from the pattern intellectual departure. As I'm standing here and I go up the clock, up the angle, once I'm here,
Form the weapon.
I form the weapon. Whether it's lifting or whether it's mule, I've already formed the weapon in the stance transition, in that rotation. This is something that is a signature within postmodern Kempo and Christian Kempo that allows our feet to help determine and form the weapon for us. Not to have to subconsciously go, oh, I'm in a neutral bow. What kick do I need to form and to use? What do I need to adjust? No, instead, it's
freeze. He's knocking the guy down to the ground. Guess what? There's somebody over here coming at him. So which foot is he going to kick with now that he can put that heel down? Ah! They didn't see that because my big body was in the way. Go ahead.
I was here. I didn't need to use my left. I want to gain distance.
You can make a bear hug into a two-person attack.
Yep.
That was a good kick.
Learn from the best. With that, on to video 3, where we connect concepts and principles and patterns into sparring. The big question I know some of you are asking, but can I use techniques in sparring?
Nobody believed that.
Yes, you can. See you in a minute.
I'm going to give him a little background on